When asked if he had a different opinion about the Crawford fight and what challenges the undisputed welterweight champion would bring, he said he was interested in guessing. Canelo ended the chat by saying,
"Weren't really entertaining it before, but that things have changed. What challenges does Terence Crawford present to you, and how do you beat him?"
Oh, I'm focused 100% on me. So, first.
When asked if fighting Crawford would add to his reputation, Canelo stuck to his guns and acknowledged Crawford's achievements, but wouldn't even think about the idea further.
Do you think it'll add to your legacy, the fight with Crawford?
Yeah, he's a really good fighter. 2 times undisputed champion. He accomplished so much, so can add a lot to my career.
It's not the first time Canelo has tried to avoid questions about Crawford, but does what he said make it impossible for good? For months, tell us what you think. Canelo Alvarez has frequently denied reports of a fight with Terence Crawford, stating that he is focused on his own career, but after weeks of speculation, the fight appears to be real. Turki Alalshik, the guy behind Saudi Arabia's greatest fights, has announced that Canelo will meet Crawford in September.
Canelo in Riyadh in May, the big fight in the history of boxing. In September, then 2 more fights in 26. Don't miss with the line.
This is really big. Canelo, the undisputed champion at 168, will face Crawford, who dominated the welterweight division and is now hoping to make history by moving up 3 weight classes to test the Mexican superstar. This fight is for Canelo to show that he is still the king of boxing and to quell any questions about his readiness to fight anyone. Crawford has the chance to make his name in fighting history by pulling off one of the bravest moves ever. Canelo Alvarez has spent months denying reports of a fight with Terence Crawford, but now that the fight has been confirmed, Canelo has made a bold promise to Turki Alalshik that he will return for undisputed status with their September showdown. Set, Canelo comforted Turki in just 4 words.
I look great.
There is one item missed from you now. That belt.
That belt. But I got you.
Yeah,
Don't worry. I got you.
This is a big statement. Canelo was already unchallenged at 168, but with Crawford moving up 3 weight classes for this historic fight, the stakes are considerably higher for Canelo. This fight is more than simply defending his title, it's about cementing his legacy as the face of boxing, and with Saudi Arabia's full backing, he promises to leave no question. To boxer Dana White, the UFC president and CEO, recently stated that he will enter into a boxing promotion with Turki Alalshik, bringing CAR, the subsidiary of Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, and TKO, the parent company of UFC and WWE, into a multi-year agreement. Dana White spoke with Dan Rafael about the new deal and his future plans before the conversation aired. Rafael explained what he knows about TKO possibly pushing a Canelo Crawford boxing insider. Dan Rafael laid into the situation, disclosing that Canelo no longer has an official promoter and explained who will likely handle his big fight with Terence Crawford in September. According to Dan Rafael, Turki has a 4-fight deal with Canelo Alvarez and does not have an official promotion like he did with Matchroom, Golden Boy, or PBC and TGB. This transfer means Canelo is no longer tied to any traditional promotional business, and his fights will be handled directly by Saudi Arabia's powerhouse backing. But who will officially market Canelo versus Crawford? Rafael thinks the answer is apparent. Dan Rafael also mentioned that Dana will be doing these events for an unnamed company that Turks and Saudis are backing, and I've heard rumblings in the last few days that the TKO-based company will finally promote the fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez in September. If this is accurate, it would cause a major shift in boxing's promotional environment, with Saudi Arabia's influence growing stronger. Instead of Matchroom, Top Rank, or the PBC making the choices, a Saudi-backed TKO-based firm may take control. For months, Canelo Alvarez disregarded the prospect of meeting Terence Crawford. He never advocated for it, never pushed for it, and even dismissed queries about it. But now it's happening. Why? Because Saudi Arabia's Turki Alalshik is making it hard to refuse. Boxing insider Dan Rafael explained it all. It's not about tradition or competition. It's about money.
It's a fight that Turki Al-Sheikh from Saudi Arabia has shown a lot of interest in. And of course, if it's going to get made, someone's going to have to put up a lot of guaranteed money. And he's probably the person that's going to do it. He's obviously been working closely with Terence Crawford. He was involved with Terence Crawford's last fight that took place in August when he fought Israel Majumov. It's obviously a fight that Terence Crawford has been very vocal about wanting.
Al-Sheikh has been highly involved in Crawford's career, sponsoring his previous bout in August. And now he's the one causing this fight to happen by putting up money that even Canelo can't refuse. Crawford has always wanted this fight. He has been vocal and has called for it, but Canelo has never answered. In truth, Rafael claimed that Canelo made it apparent that he was not interested.
Hasn't ever said he wanted the fight, kind of downplayed it to a certain degree. But it wasn't that long ago, I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago, he was doing an appearance and he was asked about it and he didn't close the door on it. In the past, he sort of like closed the door on it. It was like, I'm not interested. He's like, listen, I'll talk to anybody and listen to what they have to say about the deal, any kind of deal. So in my mind, that sort of at least cracked open the door to have the conversation. Like he wasn't just saying, forget it, in terms of working with Turki or anybody else. So I think that Canelo is a smart person in terms of his boxing, but also in terms of his business.
But this is where it gets interesting. Canelo has never denied it directly. When asked about Crawford a few months back, he left the door slightly open. Now that Saudi Arabia has made it official, the question is whether Canelo accepted to fight because he truly wanted it or because the money was too good to turn down. As the Canelo vs. Crawford battle approaches, boxing pros are already weighing in, and former world champion Mikey Garcia is not impressed. In fact, he thinks the fight is all wrong and predicts a clear winner for Garcia. This is not about skill. It's about size, force, and simple physics.
I think Canelo wins that fight based on just the size, the power and size. Now, skill-wise, I think Crawford's a better skilled fighter, but the difference in size will be the deciding factor, and that's why I'm not even a fan of that fight. I think Crawford has accomplished everything he had to accomplish. From 140, 147, now 154. That's even great for him. He wants to do something, collect belts at 154, he can attempt that. But there's no money in that compared to the Canelo fight. And Canelo is trying to fight other guys, and at that point it's more of a big fight, for the money that's gonna.
Garcia admits Crawford is the more skillful fighter, but he thinks the size disparity will be too much for Bud to overcome, which is why he isn't a supporter of this bout.
As a fight fan, I'm not really a fan of that matchmaking. I'd rather see Canelo move up and fight somebody like Bitterbib or Bivol again. Yeah. If he wanted to challenge himself, move up to 175 again, and challenge himself against those guys. Not a smaller guy moving up.
I'd rather see Canelo try himself at 175, taking on someone like Bivol or Artur Beterbiev again, than face a lot smaller Crawford stepping up. But with the tremendous money behind this bout, it's apparent why it's occurring as Canelo Alvarez vs. Terence Crawford takes traction. Andre Ward, a past world champion, has made it clear that he fully supports Crawford. Many people feel, but will be unable to manage the size and power gap, but Ward sees something else, an unbreakable will. Andre Ward stated, "I am going with Terence C.W. Crawford. It's a big weight jump and a hazardous bout, but someone needs to show me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. I don't mean any harm to Canelo, but I've stated several times that I am not betting against Terence Crawford against anyone right now. You've got to prove to me that you can beat him." Ward made it clear that this is not meant to disrespect Canelo. Rather, it is about trusting in Crawford's ability to overcome any task that comes his way. His belief in Bud stays unshaken, regardless of the weight class or opponent in front of him. Terence Crawford is not backing down from the challenge, with thoughts of a September fight against Canelo Alvarez gaining steam, that has sent out a vague but deadly confident word.
I told my boy Jazz, I already caught the biggest fish in Texas. About to get out here and get it in. Y'all see the water. I know who the #1 fisherman is. Even big fish get caught.
Crawford has previously proven his superiority by crushing Errol Spence, who once referred to himself as the Big Fish. Now, as the fight approaches, He is indicating that Canelo may be the next prize catch on his list. Crawford isn't just talking, he's telling Canelo exactly what's coming. Crawford's move to 154 is a reasonable step, according to trainer Andre Rozier, but he is skeptical of his choice to face Canelo. He sees it as a foolish and dangerous leap, questioning Crawford's ability to handle the huge size and power gap.
Another weight class, and I think 54 is going to be enough for him. Him going up to fight and quote unquote, if it should happen, Canelo, I don't see that ending well. It's just too much and too far to go. But that's what it was.
Rozier's worries show how significant this situation is. Crawford wouldn't just be jumping up in weight. He'd be taking on one of the sport's biggest pound-for-pound stars, with a major physical disadvantage, given all the hype surrounding a possible Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford showdown. Canelo has finally answered to the prospect of challenging the undisputed welterweight king, and he did not mince words.
I see he wants to fight, he's made it clear. Do fights like that help your legacy, or do you feel like that's something that's not worth it to you?
Everything in my career, every fight make my legacy different and better, no? Terence Crawford is a great fighter, he's a good fighter, but like I say, he's a weight classes for a reason.
Canelo's message is clear. He isn't taking Crawford's challenge lightly, but he also thinks there is a limit to how far skill can go against size and strength. Whereas Crawford is pursuing greatness by rising up. Canelo is telling him that boxing history is littered with fighters who find out the hard way why weight classes exist. Keith Thurman, a former world champion with a keen sense of strategy, thinks Terence Crawford sees something in Canelo Alvarez that others may overlook while evaluating Canelo's fight against Jermall Charlo. Thurman highlighted key events that may have convinced Crawford that he had a chance to win.
I believe, seeing what I saw, I believe Crawford saw the same thing. If Charlo can go so untouched by just being, once he got dropped, his, spider senses, boom, fully awakened, right? Boom. So now hands up, don't make no mistakes. So, that's how it is. We saw it in the Munguia fight, we saw it in the last fight. It's those little mistakes that end up having big consequences against Canelo.
Thurman observed how, after being knocked down, Charlo changed his defense to reduce damage but failed to act effectively, allowing Canelo to dominate the fight. He speculated that Crawford, known for his versatility and offensive ingenuity, may perceive a chance to capitalize.
Others say no, that's 2 more weight classes. Once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo, he's going to slow down. So I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he still got that kind of steam. But, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo has, and how we find how they even out and who trumps one another, you know what I mean? We tried to do that with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, and we see how that panned out, you know what I mean? So,
unlike Charlo, who focused on survival, Crawford may try to mix defense and smart attack, looking for ways to score while avoiding Canelo's devastating power. However, Thurman knew the danger. A single mistake against Canelo might terminate the fight, which is where the doubt comes in. Some argue that Crawford's size and recent performances do not suggest he can handle a full-fledged super middleweight. His most recent fight, a decision victory against Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds, did not make a lasting impact. Even Ryan Garcia wasn't shy about labeling the victory heist. Sean Porter, a former welterweight champion who faced Terence Crawford, is skeptical of Crawford's willingness to fight Canelo Alvarez after witnessing Crawford's technique and power personally. Porter recognizes his superior boxing skill, but he also sees a possibly hazardous size and strength mismatch.
Canelo Alvarez is going to make it to September. I think Jake Paul, they fight in May. He's going to beat Canelo. He's going to jump into the Terence Crawford sweepstakes. And they're going to have a whole separate big fight. And, with Canelo being out of the picture, I think that is a great generational fight. I think Crawford versus Jake Paul will be huge and tremendous, sell out Allegiant Stadium.
Porter is worried about the physical disparity, not Crawford's technique or flexibility. Canelo has shown destructive power at higher weight classes, whilst Crawford has yet to display his ability to compete against great opponents. Beyond 150 pounds, the problem continues. Is Crawford skilled enough to overcome his size and power disadvantage, or is he taking a risk that could backfire disastrously? Nick Ali Walsh, Muhammad Ali's grandson, has chimed in on the continuing discussion about Terence Crawford's move up in weight to fight Canelo Alvarez, despite many pundits questioning Crawford's ability to manage the size and power disparity. Walsh sees things differently. He feels that Crawford, unlike critics who warn about the physical disadvantages, is the only boxer capable of overcoming such a mammoth barrier. Walsh presents the fight as a clash of generational skills. His statement adds an additional aspect to the problem. Is Crawford truly a once-in-a-lifetime fighter who can defy weight divisions, or will Canelo's power be too much? Frank Stu3, a boxing analyst, has recently made one of his boldest and most provocative comments yet. He doesn't think Canelo Alvarez will make up to his expected September showdown against Terence Crawford. Why? Because he thinks Jake Paul will shock the world in May by defeating Canelo and entering the Crawford fight instead. This is more than just bold, it's shocking. Most fans find it difficult to see Jake Paul defeating Canelo, but the thought of a Crawford against Paul megafight, headlining in Las Vegas, is out of this world. Is this just crazy guessing, or are we seeing something that others don't? One thing is certain. This forecast has blown up the boxing debate. Super welterweight champion Israel Madrimov has chimed in on the highly debated potential confrontation between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, voicing a viewpoint that puts the bout squarely in the middle.
Good fight. You know, if 168 pounds, I think it's Canelo, but it's Canelo better technique, because 50-50. If 12 rounds, Crawford win, I think. If knockout, it's Canelo. He has power, smart, in more practical.
He has more experience. He's very good.
Crawford's ring IQ and skill set, according to Madrimov, are important decision-making factors. Victory, but when it comes to raw power at 168, he thinks Canelo has the advantage. This statement adds fuel to the flames. Can Crawford's technical brilliance match Canelo's sheer bulk and strength, or will Gervonta Tank be unable to overcome the power disparity? Davis is open about his worries regarding Terence Crawford's physical change in recent years, despite the fact that many see Crawford's weight gain as a daring challenge. Davis says there's more to this story, questioning Crawford's ability to gain muscle while appearing to avoid injury in the ring.
No. Crawford needs the money.
Crawford needs the money?
Yeah, he needs the money.
You got a chance to win?
And another thing, bro, I don't be wanting to, how these guys is, then you get hurt against
Madrimov?
Who?
There you talking about Crawford got touched by Madrimov? Is that what you're saying?
No, you got clipped by Gamboa, right?
Yeah,
right? He's looking this strong over the past year. I mean, these years. He ain't been getting clipped or nothing. So now, that's that snack shit. I'm telling you. Y'all laugh. I'm telling you. And that guy that a part of it, he been caught. He went to jail.
Davis obviously suggests that Crawford's increased physical strength could be the result of something other than natural evolution, even mentioning Victor K's SNAP program, which has long been contentious in boxing circles, despite the fact that there is no proof to back up these accusations. Davis comments adding another dimension of intrigue to the debate. Is Crawford's body causing real concerns, or are they merely pre-fight mental games? To talk about Terence Crawford stepping up 3 weight classes to face Canelo Alvarez has prompted heated conversations, but Stephen A. Smith isn't holding back. He thinks it's a bad idea. While Crawford has crushed every division in which he has competed, Smith thinks there is a clear size limit to his excellence, and history has demonstrated why this fight could be disastrous for him.
Let me tell you what I think should be gone. The notion that Terence Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's entirely too small. Jamel Charlo already proved that. Y'all remember that scene from Rocky? Remember that scene from Rocky 2? When Carl Weathers was Apollo Creed and his trainer was like, can I be honest? I saw you beat this man within an inch of his life. And he kept coming. He wouldn't go away. He's wrong for us, baby. He's wrong. Let it go. Apollo couldn't do it and lost fight number 2. Trained him for fight Rocky 3 and then got killed in Rocky 4 by Drago because he couldn't let it go. Bud Crawford needs to let it go.
Smith compared Crawford's desire to Apollo Creed's demise in the Rocky series, suggesting that taking on a naturally bigger, stronger fighter like Canelo might be a career-ending error. He cites Jermall Charlo's defeat to Canelo, in which Charlo, a fighter inherently larger than Crawford, was completely outgunned. If Charlo can't handle the power, what chance does Crawford have? Smith's perspective adds fuel to the continuing debate. Is Crawford pushing himself too far, or does his skill set make this fight more competitive than Smith thinks, given that he has fought Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford? Amir Khan gives a fresh perspective on how a prospective bout between the two could unfold. Khan, who was knocked out by Canelo at middleweight in 2016 and then stopped by Crawford at welterweight, knows personally the difference in power, size, and talent between the two fighters. But what are your thoughts? Does Crawford have the tools to overcome his size problem, or is Canelo simply too big and strong?